Peace to everybody. Shout out to Don D Tuesday. Shout out to I'm Precisely. Shout out to JMMA. Shout out to Jay Shep. Jay Shep, what's going on, man? Mr. Ardor. Hope I'm saying your name right. Shout out to Mike. Shout out to the Shaolin Phrase. Shout out to Blast X1. Shout out to Aram. I hate that I be missing your name, but shout out to Aram. Appreciate you. What's up, Leafy? Leafy in the house. Yeah, man. Yeah, I was doing some research on stuff, and people keep, it makes me upset because people, they always try to defend companies, or they try to defend companies. They try to defend companies. And I had to get on one of my friends, Hip Hop Gamer. Shout out to Hip Hop Gamer. I had to get on Hip Hop Gamer because he was getting mad at people protesting against just having a digital world. And he was saying everybody is fake, everybody doing all this fake talk and stuff, and nobody's sticking. No, I'm sticking behind it. I want to have the option of a physical game, because if their systems go down for some reason, I can't play the game, and it's on their server. So the game is not mine. That's the whole thing. He should be helping, because Hip Hop Gamer is a major voice in the communities. He should be helping, but Hip Hop Gamer feel like if he say anything against PlayStation, that's one of his business partners, I guess, or he got some type of, he get invited to events. Let me see. That happened with Xbox recently, when their server of none of my digital content could be played. It sucked balls. Yeah, man. And people don't see it for that. They don't see it because, and another thing is they say, hey, we're not supporting a game that you purchase digitally. We're not putting server at. Now you can't, like, if you got a physical disc, they're not supporting it. You still could play that physical disc. But people just don't get it. A lot of people is for themselves. My thing is, on this platform, I'm for the online and offline. The hardcore, the hybrid, and the casual. But I'm mostly going to push what I want, because nobody really push what I want. How's it going, Boxing Lounge? Salute. Yeah, nobody like, everybody be like, Poe, why are you always talking about offline stuff? Because you never talk about offline stuff. You got a channel, but you're not talking about offline stuff. I talk about everything. I want everybody to be represented. But people just want, hey, we just want online to be represented. Offline is garbage. To you. Companies made bad games, bad offline games. Yeah, I can see you saying that. Some companies. But, a lot of people, they don't stick up. They always want to take up for these companies. How's it going, Francis? How's it going, M. Sweeney? I seen you the first time, M. Sweeney. You ain't got to do all that. What's up, E-Boxing Champions? Appreciate you coming through. Came in here hardcore spamming, hardcore. Yeah. So today's show, I'm back on Still City again because this is the thing. People like to defend Still City like they're getting a major, getting money and stuff like that. They want more trips and stuff. I don't care about that trip stuff. How's it going, Blazer 986? All right, yeah, okay. So today, Poe and the community speaks. Today discussion: SEI, visual concepts, resources, experiences, and the end of small studio discussion. Excuses. Welcome back to Poe and the Community Speaks. Today we're going to have an honest conversation about Still City Interactive, 2K, visual concepts, development experience, studio size, investors, publishers, sales, and accountability. And accountability. All right, let me see. Whenever people criticize Undisputed, the same explanation appears. SEI is a small studio. No, they're not. No, they're not. And small studio doesn't mean anything. In today's development cycle, small studio means nothing. There's small studios that made great games. All right. This was their first game. People keep saying that. After 6 years, the game been out 6 years. They've been working on it for 6 years. So technically, it's not their first game. 6 years. They cannot compete with 2K. That when people be saying that makes no sense. Why you throw up they cannot compete with 2K? And what aspect? Because there's a company that can have 5 people on the team and make a better boxing game than what 2K made with Prize Fighter. Let me see. Leafy said, I have some cool news. I'm making animation for a soft drinks football game. And my friends MMA game. Yo, that is good news. If we want to get technical, they tried to make ESBC first and scrapped it. This is really exactly. I ain't want to take it there, but exactly. All right. They do not have the resources for they do not have the resources of visual concept. I don't know why I stumbled on that word. All right, now this is what I got to, because a lot of people always say resources. Still, visual concepts and 2K, they have budgets for each game. They have 29 games. 29 games. Just because they're $1 billion company, they're not putting the whole $1 billion back into those games. People don't get it. I'm like, yo, game had been out forever almost. Game had been out for a long time. Some people weren't even born. I was like right there when gaming first started. But people act like you get the knowledge from all those years. You can create games. Making a boxing game is difficult. Not really. Not really. Especially when you have experienced developers. People at like Still City just got experienced developers. They had experienced developers since, what was that? 2022? They had experienced developers early. So now people say, oh, they just got them. No, they had people from EA early. They had people from 2K early. They had people from what's that? It was a couple of companies. That was AAA companies. Let me see. Leafy said, I will, man. I'm working 2 days a week now, so I'm bringing in that dough to save up for things to help out with animating and stuff. Yeah, that's see you going. They need people like passionate people on teams. All right, they do not have the resources of visual concepts. They do not have the resources of visual concept in 2K. That's crazy because they made over they sold over 2 million copies. Over 2 million copies of Undisputed. They got the resources. Why do you have the resources to keep inviting people back to the company? What's up, Blaster X1? Salute. Why do you think they keep inviting developers up there? They're paying for their tickets to come into them events and stuff. They are still learning. When people's this one of the biggest gripe of the community. They say Steel City is still learning. You talking about Ash and his two brothers? They're not developing the game. They're not the developers. They're the owners. So what are they still learning? They have people that have AA and AAA experience. So what are they learning? What are they learning? It makes no sense. They cannot add everything. You're giving them an excuse. You giving them an excuse. Let me say this clearly. There is no automatic excuse. Team can create a great boxing video game. A large team can create a poor boxing video game. A veteran development team can follow the wrong design philosophy. A young team can create an innovative and authentic when it has the right vision, properties, leadership, structure, and understanding of the sport. The size of the development team matters, but it does not determine whether the game will understand boxing. Let me see, boxing champions. You right, Paul. It's not just SCI doesn't have the resources. They just don't focus on the right things. They are hell-bent on dumping everything into marketing leadership is the problem, not devs, exactly. Like I keep saying, Steel City is a marketing team. They are a marketing team. And my thing is nobody wouldn't really be saying much if they did this in the beginning. No, they wait until the game has been out for about 4 or 5 years. Or I give it, because a lot of people like to be tech. I mean, hey, the game came out like 2 years ago. They've been working on the game for 6 years. I don't care what nobody's saying. All right, the budget matters, but it does not determine whether every boxer will feel authentic. The budget matters, but it does not determine whether every boxer will feel authentic. Experience matters, but experience is only valuable when it is properly directed. The real questions are, what kind of boxing game is the company trying to create? And I'm gonna keep saying that. What kind of game are you? Because Ash is jumping over this question. Ash keep jumping over this question. If I was to interview Ash, I think that would be the first question I ask him. What kind of game is Undisputed 2 going to be? And please ask authentic. Authentic is not the game. It got to be either simulation, hybrid, or arcade. No authentic. All right. What does the management prioritize? What do they prioritize? What do this company prioritize? How are the developers being organized? How are the developers being organized? And from my, I looked at a preview of their hiring practices, and a couple of developers were saying that the team is going different directions. Everybody's not on accord with one thing. All right. Let me see. They've been talking about ESBC a lot when Undisputed comes up. So hopefully that's a sign they are actually trying to get back to that vision. Yeah, I hope so too, but I know how companies do. They gotta do this what people telling them behind the scenes. Say certain things that's going to grab their attention. As long as you grab their attention, you're good. Because they keep saying ESBC. I heard him say that like 2 or 3 times. You keep saying it, but he's not connecting it to anything. He's just throwing the ESBC in the conversation. Just say it. You could be saying, hey, I was walking in the office and I seen an old photo of ESBC. And you know what people are going to say? Oh, sweat, we're going to get ESBC again. And they know people going to eat that up. All right. How are the developers being organized? How are the available resources being used? Who has final authority over boxing authenticity? I got to read that one. Now I'm going to read this 2 more times. Who has final authority over boxing authenticity? Who has final authority over boxing authenticity? There's a person on the team he controls the authenticity of the game. They might want to get people excited like they were with ESBC. It'll be a great strategy. Exactly. E-Boxing Champion said, down with Will Kinsler. Down with Dana White. Muhammad. Down go Frazier. Down go Will Kinsler. All right. I don't want to start sounding like beast. All right. Are the developers being? Oh, I read that. How are the available resources being used? Oh, I read that. When lessons were learned from the from the first game. When lessons were learned from the first game. Ash said that. What's up, I'm Precisely? Salute. Ash said that. He said lessons were learned from the first game. What were the lessons? You didn't tell us anything. Why you bring that up? You say lessons were learned. They're supposed to bend. That supposed to lead into something. And SEI building a boxing simulation or realistic game. And is SEI building a boxing simulation? But I hate saying simulation because a lot of people take that word and overexpand it and try to make it sound worse than what people really saying. And my thing is there's no bad way of saying simulation. You want the game to simulate boxing, real boxing. A competitive, let me see, and is SEI building a boxing simulation, a competitive fighting game, a hybrid product, or something that changes identity depending on which audience the company is speaking to. Let me see. Ash is a great salesman, laughing out loud. Not gonna lie, he's slick with his. Yep. And my thing is, I was defending him early, but then I said, Dad, he got somebody that came in the studio that literally he's like, hey, you. Let me see. Box Fanatical is a really good salesman. And Box Fanatical, good salesman. It's not a bad thing, and it's not a good thing, but he's good at what he does. He could sell ice to an Eskimo. Those are the questions that matter. The initial comparison. All right. Poll people. This supposed to have been the way I wrote it for somebody to ask me this question, but I'm gonna read it. Poll people frequently compare SCI to Visual Concepts. No, they don't. Visual Concepts has decades of sports game history. It has worked on basketball, wrestling, football, tennis, and other sports properties. Does that not give Visual Concept a major advantage? No. And this is what I'm going to tell everybody, because a lot of people keep saying that. Like, even when they say EA, people don't realize 98% of the people that worked on, I'll give it a 95%. 95% of the people that worked on the Undisputed games, not the Undisputed, the Fight Night Champion games, they're not there no more. And Brizzle was one of the main developers. He was one of the main producers. He's not there anymore. And this is what I keep telling people. Once companies start firing and rehiring people, they're on the same level as Steel City. Yeah, there's more money involved in the companies, but we really don't know how much money PlayOn has. Silver Lakes has. We don't know how much money those companies have, but they have produced a lot of games. But people got to stop finding excuses. That does not give Visual Concept a major advantage. Them having all those games and stuff, the producers are not there. They have a certain amount of people working on each game that they have. Visual Concept has important structural advantages. That should not be denied. It has decades of corporate sports game history. It has experienced developers and supporting major licensed franchises. It has established pipelines for areas such as commentary, broadcast presentation, motion capture, character creation, career and management systems, online infrastructures, statistics, ratings, user interface. I don't want to read them all. All right. Visual Concepts has repeatedly shipped complex sports products. That type of organizational history can matter because a studio does not have to rebuild every production process from the beginning. But that advantage should not become an excuse for SCI. The accurate comparison is not Visual Concept has experienced developers and SCI does not. SCI has developers. SCI has people with years and decades of industry experience. SCI has hired SEI has hired personnel connected to major companies and established game franchises. SEI has multiple studios. People forget that. Steel City has multiple studios. They have 3 studios. SEI has already completed and released a boxing video game. SEI has received years of feedback that they don't listen to and they don't write down. SEI has years of feedback. And my thing is feedback. My thing is give us the survey. Nobody cares about that feedback crap. I know how companies work. I know how companies work when they say we got feedback. All right, if y'all got years of feedback, so why every year you open up the wish list part of the Discord or the forums? Why do you always make wish lists? It shows that those wish lists is only to contain people, give them a place to express their wants and their feedback. But it doesn't matter because Steel City gonna make the game that they want to make. SEI has worked through early access, console development, patches, downloadable content, licensing, online support, and sequel planning. The company is younger than Visual Concept. And when we keep saying Visual Concept younger, there are people they wasn't born when Visual Concept was a company that's working there. So when they say the company is young, if you got a lot of young people in there, that don't mean anything. I mean, that means that you got a young team. So you can't put the whole company, say, hey, we're old company. Yeah, y'all old, the company, the name is old. But it's not the people there. That does not mean its current workforce is collectively inexperienced or incapable. SEI is not the same company it was at the beginning. SEI is not the same company it was at the beginning. That is where some people may still picture SEI as a tiny startup trying to create its first prototype. People continue describing SEI as if it is a handful of inexperienced developers working from one small office. There is no longer an accurate way to discuss the company. SEI leadership has spoken about having approximately 100 or more developers. The company operates across 3 studios or locations. It has hired veteran developers, producers, programmers, artists, and senior personnel. It has relationships with professional boxers, trainers, broadcasters, boxing organizations, data providers, and industry figures. It has a major publisher. It has investors. It has shareholders and financial stakeholders. It has already released one commercially successful game. See, that's where I come like with the commercially successful, but I guess it was successful with being that it sold that many copies. And like I keep telling everybody don't want to go with it because when people like they're content creators, I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing as a content creator. Because they saying that them selling over 1 million copies in 1 week is because they didn't have a video game. That's not true. The video that people saw, that's why they sold over 1 million copies. That's why they sold over 1 million copies. Because if that was the case, when I was helping round for round, and we were putting out information. And then we did what's that? A GoFund? It's not a GoFund. Kickstarter. We did a Kickstarter. When you think fans would have supported that Kickstarter, I know why they didn't support it, but wouldn't you think that fans, they wanted the game so much that we would have got over 1 million people supporting that Kickstarter? But they didn't. So that excuse that, no, it was the only game, so that's why people did it. Nah, that first video, if it wasn't the video, let Ash put out a bootleg looking video. Let Ash put out a bootleg looking video this time around. Do you think people still going to go for the game? It's the video. It's marketing. That's what I'm saying, Paul. It's going to be impossible for them to get that kind of buck. Boxing champion said, that's what I'm saying, Paul. It's going to be impossible for them to get that kind of buzz again. They ruined it. Yup, they did. They did. They're going to have to put out something spectacular. And I'm still going to be on the fence. They're going to have to put out something spectacular. And 2 weeks in, it stays spectacular. All right. Let me see. It has years of player feedback and gameplay data. At some point, the discussion must move away from what SCI supposedly lacks and towards what SCI has chosen to do with what it possesses. Does SCI have the same resources as 2K? Doubt it. But SCI don't have over 50 games that they got, but they got 29 that's about to drop. But Steel City has 1 game. So that's why I stay on them. People people, they're cheerleading that. I stay on them. Shout out to Papanosis. He said he watching the show on his TV. Appreciate you, man. Shout out to Papanosis. All right, does SEI have the same resources as 2K? Are you saying SEI has the exact same resources as 2K in visual concept? They might. They might. Because the publisher has the resources. The investors has the resources. We don't know. That is not the argument. 2K and Visual Concept may have greater overall corporate infrastructure. They may have more established internal tools. They may have access to larger centralized support departments. They may have deeper experience managing annual sports franchises. They may have deeper experience managing annual sports franchises. They may have broader platform relationships and more mature online services. But resource differences do not explain every missing or shallow boxing system. They do not fully explain the absence of or removal of a functioning in-ring referee. And I know, and other developers know, that was intentionally. That was intentionally keeping the referee out the ring. I'm going to say it every show. That was intentionally. The lack of complete clinching systems, that was intentionally. Because EA, I remember EA, they took the clinching out and put it right back in at the week of referee, because they was going to do the same thing that Steel City did. They wasn't going to put a referee in the ring, and they didn't want the clinching. All right, let me see. They do not fully explain weak inside fighting. Limited rope interaction. And I know a lot of y'all keep saying, why you keep saying limited rope interaction? Because people fight on the ropes. They use the ropes to get out of situations. So there's a lot of things that the ropes are there for. And we should be able to knock you through the ropes if we hit you in a certain way. All right. Oh, yeah. I got to tell the story again. EA had that in Fight Night Round 4. But they took it out. EA had knocking through the ropes in the version that I played in the studio. I was like, oh, sweat, we got ropes. Joker punched me. And I punched him with Mike Tyson. And he fell through the bottom rope. And I was like, oh, man, that's what I'm talking about. That disappeared. All right. Shallow boxer individuality, competitive AI intelligence, underdeveloped career systems, limited creation tools. Shout out to Papanosa. This Pap thing right here, creation tools. And I love creation tools too. That's why me and Pap yeah, we like the same things. You know, creation too, that was my thing. Let me see. Poe, did you watch that IGN video? Yeah, man. That jump made me mad, man. It made me mad. Wait, EA was going to referee, yeah. They was going the way Steel City got it, that's how EA they had, I think they had it in there. Then they changed it. They had it in there like that, and then they changed it. They gave us an actual referee in the ring. Because my thing was, because I kept giving them examples how the referee is in the ring. Hey, 2K has a referee in the ring. This wrestling game has more than one character in the ring, so there's no excuse. Let me see. E-Boxing Champion said, that makes sense. I get knockouts in the game that seem like the guy should have been out the ring. Knockdowns in Fight Night Round 4 were weird sometimes. Yeah, they were. I think that is Fight Night Champion where they fall through the ropes. No, it was Fight Night. I'm talking about when I went to Fight Night Round 4. They invited us up there. I came back and I was like, yo, man, they got Mike Tyson knocking people through the ropes and stuff like that. And I guess they said that's going to be overused. To me, things like that can't be overused. It makes you think more. You got an opportunity to get knocked out a certain way, and you don't want to get knocked out that certain way. All right. Insufficient offline customization. And that's part of the creation tools. But yeah, we did not have what they promised. A lack of detailed gameplay sliders. We did not have that. I remember I begged EA to put sliders in the game and tendencies. And they told us he couldn't put all of that in because of the story mode. But man, I was like, Dad. But the sliders and stuff, so they gave me one thing and they gave me a little bit of something else. All right, a lack of detailed gameplay sliders. I read that. Questionable stamina behavior. We don't have that. Universal movement patterns. Nope. And when we say some people, when they say universal movement patterns, everybody does the same thing. Got everybody doing the Muhammad Ali shuffle. Muhammad Ali moving around, floating like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Everybody doing it. That's crazy. Talking about the game got to be fair. Boxing is not fair. Boxing is not fair. And my thing was, Ash was talking about chess. He was talking about chess moves and stuff like that. How you gonna talk about that and then say everything got to be fair? Chess is not fair. So you got to stop making up your own definitions about things. Chess is not fair. Let me see. I know, but I'm pretty sure they added that feature back in Fight Night Champion where they can fall out of the ropes. Oh, okay. Nobody know. I think somebody told me about it, but I guess it just went out there. All right. Or gameplay that sometimes appear designed around generalized competitive balance instead of authentic boxer differences. Every time, like I keep telling you, every time I hear the word balance, Ash is talking about online play. He's talking about esports and stuff like that. So is the going to be online only? Is the game going to be on? Because a lot of people making the assumption that the end of that video when Ash got up and they start showing the video game, that could be a hub for online. It could be a hub for online. You know what has a hub like that? Warframe. Warframe, you could go to a hub and it's everybody there. And you could hook up with somebody, be like, yo, you want to join up on stuff like this? That's what that look like it is. Let me see. I'm precise. Say, yeah, Poe. Most of the community will cry about balance when it comes to fighters, yet they claim they want realistic boxing game. Exactly. And you know what bugs me out? And I know a lot of UFC characters being overpowered. They say, see, they got them just right. They got them realistic. But then it shows me by how you're overly talking about that UFC character and you're trying to be the voice for the boxing community. It shows that you don't have no interest in boxing. You look at boxing as a fighting game. UFC is more of a fighting game than boxing is. Because somebody said, it's still a fighting game. No, it's not. It's not. It really is not. These are not all features that require thousands of employees. These are not features that require thousands of employees. But you leave it to casual fans or people on the outside looking in, they think so. Some require proper prioritization. Some require boxing knowledge. Some require better system design. Some require a clear simulation philosophy. Some require leadership to say, this is fundamental to boxing, so it must be part of the foundation. I'm pretty sure nobody's saying that. Even the person that's supposed to be the head of authenticity, he's not saying that. He's trying to blame it on the whole team. My thing, if you're supposed to be over certain people and you're supposed to make sure they get it right. All right, a small team can create a great boxing game. A small team can create a great boxing game. People think you need 10,000 people or, I'm going over the top, but they think you need 3, 2, or 1,000 people to make a boxing game. 2 people in the ring. 2 people in the ring. You're not making a basketball game. You're not making a football game. You're not making a baseball game. 2 people in. And if they put the referee in the ring, 3 people in the ring. Let us directly address the small team argument. Can a smaller team create a great boxing video game? Yes, a smaller team can absolutely create a great boxing video. It may not be able to create the largest roster, the most arenas, the most cinematic cutscenes, and the broadest selection of modes at launch. Check that out. At launch. But it could get the basic things. They could have got basic things done correctly. The small team that they had. They could have had everything correct and then start hiring other people. They would have had a great foundation. But like Ash said, because a lot of people act like Ash did not say, he brought people in to see the coding and the game. And they said, it's nothing you can really do with that. The game is going to keep breaking every time you add something to it. But people don't hear that. I got a person that was calling people out in the Undisputed on YouTube. I mean, not on YouTube, on Facebook. He was calling people out, talking about, y'all just can't play. Y'all don't know how to play, and this and that. And it made me heated because you keep saying that as an excuse. Stop saying people can't play. I say, I know what boxing look like. I've boxed for real. You're playing a video game. You're playing it in a way that you taught yourself to play a broken game. What's up, Lamont Davis? Man, I thought you weren't going to be on today, man, because it's a Friday and the family want to go out and do different things. But I'm happy you popped in. I'm happy you popped in, my brother. All right. A smaller team can absolutely create a great boxing video game. It may not be... No, I ain't going to read that over again. All right. But it can create a strong boxing foundation, like I just said. A smaller team could focus on accurate footwork, responsive punching, authentic punch trajectories, meaningful defensive systems. Realistic. Oh, this is something I want to talk about. Defensive systems. They were talking about that. Box Fanatical and the people that went, they were talking about they working on the defensive systems. Let me see. I'm precisely said they fool Estevan back again. Oh, that fool Estevan back again in the Discord to tell us we just suck at the game. Man, that joke be making me mad, man. That joke be making me mad because he's happy that you can tell he look like a little kid that knows how to do something, and he know other people might know how to do it better if it was fixed. But he feel like, hey, I'm doing good. I'm like, yo, I'm doing great. The game is broken. And he's saying the game is not broken. So you're telling Ash, who you're trying to kiss his feet. So you're telling Ash that the game is not broken. He said it's broken. Other developers said it's broken. But you're saying it's not broken. You sound like a kid with 3 tires on his car. A kid playing with his toy car, 3 tires. And people saying, man, why you keep playing with that 3-tire car? Why you keep playing with that? Said, man, this is the best car I ever got. And you having fun with it. 3 tires, because you know how to play with it. You know how to play with what they gave you. And I'm pretty sure in Undisputed 2, you're going to get your butt beat. Pause. but you're gonna get your butt. Poe, all he does is throw 1-2s to the body because nothing. Exactly, exactly. He uses what works for him. He does the unrealistic diagonal dodge and mashes 1-2s to the body over and over again. And that he basically telling me what I kind of knew. He's working on something that's broken and he's using it to his advantage. Like he tried to speak like he was speaking for the whole community when Sean Porter asked him. So what he's like, so what's wrong with the game? He said nothing. People just don't know how to play it. He said nothing. People just don't know how to play it. And Sean Porter he's like looking weird because Sean Porter know it doesn't look like boxing to him. And it shouldn't look like boxing to him. He's a boxer. But Estevan is an arcade fighting game fan. So he's going to defend what he's good at. He never throws body hooks for a reason. Yeah, man, that's crazy. And he be like the loudest. I'm like, yo, man, go on with that. I went into the Undisputed Discord on not Discord, on Facebook. I went into the group on Facebook. I went in there guns blazing. I said, I know what boxing look like. Y'all don't. So don't come in here with that nonsense. And I was waiting for somebody to say something, but nobody said nothing. They did not say anything. And my thing like, Dad, I didn't even get a troll because, hey, I'm on a computer and you on a computer. I can't do nothing to you. And I didn't even get a troll. And I was like, I guess they knew I was telling the truth. All right. We need functional clinching, inside fighting, rope and corner behavior. Rope and corner behavior. People don't know how much it adds to the fight when you're able to lean on the ropes, fight in the corner and stuff like that. I used to love fighting off the ropes. Love fighting in the corner. And people used to be like, man, you were the shorter guy. Why are you fighting off the ropes? He's the taller guy. Man, I used to be beating brakes off of jokers. Let me see. If anyone has a minor critique of the game, he automatically says, we just suck, even though it has nothing to do with being good or bad at the game. Yeah, that's crazy. And I hate saying this about people, but he need to go to a AAA meeting, an AA meeting, because he clearly don't know what boxing looks like or what makes boxing. I would hate for them to have him in the studio. Hey, you're going to sit with us for 2 days in the studio. Man, that junk I would be like, yo, I'm definitely not buying the game. I'm definitely not buying the game. And I think I go harder on here. But like, Steel City is so stupid. They hired a guy that don't know nothing about boxing. He just know how to play fighting games. I'm not going after my people in here that play fighting games and combat games. There's a difference. All right. Realistic stamina, functional clinching, inside fighting, rope and corner behavior, boxer-specific tendencies. And Ash was saying, it's not fair when certain boxers could do certain things. Boxing is not fair. It's about strategy. I don't think esports should be balanced. I don't think it should be balanced. The balance is in your technique, your strategy, whatever you do to win. And this is another thing I wanted to talk about. When people this jug had me laughing. I was confused and laughing at the same time. They said, why does it's a boxer, he was in lightweight. Why does he have 90 and it was a boxer in heavyweight? He had 90. He said, why do they both have the same thing? He's better than him. I said, that's a heavyweight 90. His ratings and everything is competing with the other people in his weight class. The lightweight is competing with the people in his weight class. That has nothing to do with a heavyweight. And that shows the ignorance of the community. But the developers and the marketing people, they're not educating people. They're really not educating people. Because tendencies, and this is another thing, stop making generic ratings. They add in generic ratings so they all don't seem alike. Because there's some boxers, they will both have 90, and some people will say, nah, man, they both not 90 because you're not looking at the individual things. You're not looking at the individual things inside what added up to that overall rating. It will make it a 90. Because there could be a boxer that's 85 and very much better than that 90. He said, Poe, how? Because we don't know where the majority of his skill set at. He probably have a weak jab. It like took all the points for that jab. But he has a 92 right hand. So people got to think about that, but nobody's educating anybody about that. Let me see. I'm precisely say, yeah, the fact that he's okay with how Undisputed plays, he has no standards. Exactly. At least some people like Norm Block Solo, that's my guy. At least he said he knows the game broke, but he's playing it for what it is. He came out and said that. He knows the game broke, but he's playing it for what it is. And you got to respect that. He's not saying, hey, the game is not broke. Y'all just don't know how to play it. He don't say that. He doesn't say that. All right. Adaptive. This is one of the things that Steel City should have been working on diligently before they got rid of Little Mac. Adaptive AI intelligence. You got AI intelligence, but adaptive. They're able to adapt. And this is something, when I first started hearing this in sports games, 2K. 2K was doing this way back. They had adaptive AI back then. So if they had adaptive AI back then, developers and everybody should be way ahead on implementing things. But Steel City, one of the T-New developers, you got the money, Steel City, get the AI guy. I see that you listened to me about the combat guy, but I don't know if you hired him. All right. Judging, damage, knockdowns, recovery, offline sliders, CPU versus CPU, creation tools, and a focused career structure. This is going to sell your game because a lot of people are looking for career mode. And my thing is, I'm beyond the career mode at this point. Too many games have been out. We need a career ecosystem. Man, I be watching some videos, man. I precisely said, Poe, if you ever played it now, you would be even 10 times more furious. Yeah, man. I probably make a what's called account and be going off on them and get banned again. Man, it is like making me mad, man. I knew eventually I was gonna get banned in that in the group, but they supposed to review it. But I think I'll probably get banned again. All right. The game could begin with 30 deeply developed boxers. The game, let me see. Where Box Out View at? I really hope really hope Fanatical and Box Out View were saying the truth about Undisputed 2. Box Out View went like, nah, Box Out View. I respect what he say. And I respect what Box Fanatical say until I'm proven wrong. Until I'm proven wrong. All right, the game. See, this what Steel City was going to do and should have did. They should have stuck to their guns. When I said stick to his guns, this is what he should have did. The game could begin with 30 deeply developed boxers instead of 150 boxers who do not feel sufficient different. It could perfect a smaller number of arenas. It could create fewer modes with greater depth. It could establish a simulation foundation and then expand through updates, sequels, community creations, and downloadable content. A smaller team needs discipline, which Steel City didn't have. It's like one person came in there and wrecked everything. Leafy said, Box Out View is the GOAT. Shout out to Box Out View. A smaller team needs discipline. It needs a controlled scope. It needs strong production leadership. It needs to understand what belongs in the foundation and what can be expanded later. Because they kept saying they were going to add back in the inside fighting. They was going to add back in the clinching. Stuff like that, EA fixed within two or 3 days. Stuff like that, they literally fixed. But I knew the game plan when Steel City did that. I said, oh, I see what they're doing. They changing this game into a hybrid. They don't want it to be too realistic. And I'm gonna say again, I know Aram somewhere gonna say, I knew Poe was gonna say it. I'm gonna say it one more again. Where is our third-party survey? So you can see what we want in the game. To me, when you know what me as a business person, I'm not gonna keep putting money into something that doesn't sell, that people don't like. Because when I used to make my cheesecake stuff, I had people that liked certain things and they were selling more. So I spent more money on that, on products for that particular cheesecake. Because I used to make a butter pecan cheesecake with a caramel glaze on top. But that's neither here or there. All right. Small does not mean incapable. Small means the company must be more intelligent about what it prioritizes. Prioritization is the real issue. Defenders will say that SEI could not add everything and had to prioritize. They just use that word. A lot of fans, they use that word because it sounds like they're intelligent and they know what they're talking about, but they don't. Because I could tell when they say, they got to prioritize. Down goes Will Kensler. Yo, that you shout out E-Boxing Champions. They probably looking at the show. And shout out to the developers. I'm not talking about Steel City. But shout out to the developers that watch my show. Appreciate y'all, man. Appreciate y'all. I get developers that be looking for this show, and I'll be like, Dad, y'all, you like the show? To me, I think my show is kind of whack. I can't wait till I get my podcast back up so I can be on here with Leafy and somebody else. Hopefully I'm precisely pop up and some of these guys that's in here that don't pop up. Like I keep telling y'all do not have to show y'all faces or y'all don't like your voices. All right. Every studio has to prioritize. Yeah. And I got interviews that people in the industry, like the boxing and gaming industry, they want me to interview them, but I gotta wait till I get my stuff back together. All right. Because I don't even know how I got Wi-Fi. I don't know how I got Wi-Fi for my tablet, but I know on my phone, I think that's why my data probably left. Because I put a hotspot on my phone. So the hotspot, my tablet is using the hotspot from my phone. Oh, I see now. Because I was thinking it was one of my neighbors. Because I was about to say, hey, you can't, because one of my neighbors actually came out here and asked me because she used my Wi-Fi. And I was like, what? I gave her a bogus Wi-Fi. I'm not letting nobody use my Wi-Fi. All right. Every studio has to prioritize. Visual Concept has to prioritize. EA Sports has to prioritize. Sony has to prioritize. Bump Sony. Down with Sony. Microsoft has to prioritize, and that's sad, man. For all these years, I used to be a PlayStation fan. My wife bought me my first PlayStation. My brother used to have a PlayStation. Excuse me. And my wife came to visit me. I think it was like a second time coming to see me. And she brought me a PlayStation and bought me some boots. Man, don't let me talk about the boots, man. She bought me some rubber duck boots. They looked like shell-toe sneakers, but they was up in the air like this, like look. It was like the boot was up in there. I'm like, what the heck going on? She said, nah, they're gonna go down and even. I say, nah. Lackluster, really? All right. Microsoft has to prioritize. Even the largest publisher does not have unlimited time or money. And this is what I was trying to tell you earlier. Every company has to prioritize. Just because it's a multi-billion-dollar company don't mean they putting those billions back into the game. All right. The question is not whether SCI has had to prioritize. The question is, what did SCI prioritize? What did they prioritize? That's, I'm like, it don't like they prioritize nothing. It's like they try to work on everything at the same time. Everything did not live up to what it was supposed to be. Did it prioritize complete boxing systems? No. Did it prioritize authentic styles? No. But if you listen to Will Kinzer, the way he breaks it down, he will say yes. Let me see. E-Boxing Champion say, yeah, I played PlayStation since 1. Never had one break. I had 2 Xboxes that broke, though. Yeah, man. I'm about to give up on PlayStation. I'm trying to see what's going to happen. I'm not going to, because I was really about to buy me a PlayStation because my son took his when he left. So he left and I had no PlayStation. I didn't have no gaming laptop. So I was like, all right, I just wait, pay off my bills and stuff, and then I get me a PlayStation. Then I was gonna give me a laptop. I need a laptop so I can make my YouTube look more professional and make my YouTube look more professional. My son, he bought me a mic, but I told him just hold on to that. The question is not whether SCI had to prioritize. The question is, what did SCI prioritize? All right, I read that. Did it prioritize boxers' individuality? Not at all. I forget how many boxers that's in the game, but I'd say about, and I know I keep popping up with this number, I think only 7 look authentic. Then we got over 100 boxers, and only 7 look authentic. And the sad thing is, the boxer's not authentic. They just do enough that you could say, that looks like his style. But they didn't get the person's style deep, because David Benavidez should have faster punches. Like when he's doing them little short punches that he be throwing. And Emmanuel Augustus, that is not what he does all the time. That's something he doesn't do all the time. So a lot of boxing styles were not authentic. Let me see. E-Boxing Champions. Poe, you should try the mic out first. You might like it. Makes things a lot more comfortable. Yeah, I might do that. I'm supposed to see him sometime this week too. Cause I be getting on. My son be like, hey, cause I'm like super over the top about some things. Like he got the earbuds. And I tell him, stop using them earbuds. Say, you do your research, you'll notice that a lot of athletes don't use earbuds no more. They use the wired one because earbuds can mess with your perception, your mental. That's radiation. It's radiation. Low dosage, but it's radiation still. All right. Did they prioritize clinching? Did they prioritize clinching? Not at all. Did they prioritize inside fighting? Not at all. Did it prioritize a functional referee? Not at all. And I keep telling people, they had a nice lineup of referees that they didn't add in the game. They had a nice lineup of referees that they didn't add in the game. I wanted my guy Harvey Dock in it. That's my guy. And a lot of people don't walk up to Harvey Dock and be like, you know this guy? You like, because you might have to show him a picture. Because you call me Poe, he ain't gonna know who I am. If you just say D, he was a heavyweight from Hillside, he might say my full name, and I don't. And that's the part I don't like everybody to know my name, because nobody calls me by my name. Even my friends on the street, unless you went to school with me when I was in elementary school, you might call me by my born name. All right. Did it prioritize realistic stamina and recovery? Did it prioritize adaptive AI? Did it prioritize offline options? Did it prioritize CPU versus CPU? Did it prioritize sliders? Or did it prioritize licensed names? Or did it prioritize roster volume? And roster volume was high on what Ash wanted. He wanted to have as many boxers as he could get. And I tell everybody, the reason why he made people in there, the kickboxers and stuff in the beginning, and they're not in the game, that was to get the investors. That's how you got the investors, so you could see a full game. I know how things work, because that's what we was doing with Round for Round. Round for Round had a nice size roster if it would have ever been a game. All right. Online competition. Or did it prioritize online competition? Did it prioritize broad accessibility? Did it prioritize downloadable content? Generalized balance? Presentation? Marketing? And this what y'all going. Now that I be bringing it to y'all attention, every time I say balance, y'all gonna say, "Oh man, he talking about hybrid." Because I bring it to your attention. I know that's when he say balance, he talking about online. Because offline should never be balanced. Because if you letting people play personally offline, they should be realistic. Boxers should be realistic to themselves if you're using them offline. I think it should be online too. I think it should be an agreement, a contract system, so y'all could agree. And attracting players who may approach boxing like a conventional fighting game. And attracting players who may approach boxing like a conventional fighting game. That's a lot of people. A lot of people. And this is the thing I got to talk about too. When people say, "Yo, you was fighting realistic. You was fighting just like whatever boxer you use." You don't have to fight exactly like that boxer. You could use what he has, his tools that he has, but you don't gotta fight exactly like him for the game to be realistic. People got in their mind because somebody's like, "Yo, OG, if I'm fighting Sim a realistic," I said, you're forcing yourself to fight a way to make it seem like it's realistic. Both of y'all don't have to fight a certain way. Realistic boxing is both of y'all fighting a certain way with the tools that each boxer got. That's realistic. If you're fighting with Mike Tyson, you're going to use his slipping, you're going to use his hooks, you're going to use his overhand. That's realistic to him. But a lot of people think you got to do all this and do everything Mike Tyson doing stuff. That's not realistic to how you're going to play the game. Should you be able to do it? Yeah. But that's not realism. When people say they want realism. When someone says SCI has to prioritize, my response is exactly. Let us investigate what they chose to prioritize. A smaller team, everything at once. A smaller team cannot build everything at once. And some people will say, well, just give us a little bit of it and then come back and work on it later. Nah, man. Nah, don't do that. But it can decide what kind of game it wants to build. More developers do not guarantee better decisions. More developers do not guarantee decisions. And what I mean by that is just by having, let's say, 1,000 developers, that don't mean you're going to get a great game. That don't mean you're going to get a great game. Let me see. E-Boxing Champion said, yeah, there's a difference between emulating a guy and having realism in the game. It does not necessarily about copying guys. Exactly. You just using the tool that guy have. He got a great uppercut. I might throw the uppercut kind of spammy. And that's another thing I want to talk about. I got to bring it up every once in a blue moon. You supposed to spam in boxing. You supposed to spam in boxing. I'm like, yo, they're using fighting game terminology in boxing? You supposed to spam in boxing. Your trainer tells you, throw the jab until it feel like your arm gonna fall off. Jab. You know, I used to hear jab, 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 jab. That John used to, I almost thought that was my name. Jab, jab, right hand. Hit him with two right hands. Right hand, right hand. Uppercut. If I can hit you with 3 or 4 uppercuts, that's on you. He was spamming the uppercut. That's your problem, not my problem. Anything that I throw and it's effective, that's your problem. Because you're not defending or you're not asking for them to create better defense in the game. You can have 30 developers following a clear and intelligent boxing philosophy. You can have 300 developers following a confused design philosophy. You can have outstanding programmers implementing systems that do not represent boxing correctly because the leadership approved the wrong requirements. The leadership. Ashpot is like he gave control over the game because VP, the vice president, and other people that have high rankings, they're supposed to take care of the studio. And Ash was going off of what they were going off of. And then once the game was out, he stuck with it. Let me see. Yeah, leadership approved that stuff. Let me see. E-Boxing Champion said, in boxing physics and fatigue limited, spamming a punch is hard to replicate physics. Hard to replicate physics, yeah. Cause I know me, and I'm not a super. When I was younger, yeah, I used to throw a lot of punches. But my thing is, everybody's not throwing Camacho type punches, and he's not in there the right way. They're not throwing quick punches like a lightweight. So if I throw punches, which is gonna be slow, like a lot of heavyweights, they throw slower punches after the first and second punch. They're gonna start slowing down some. So if they still throwing a punch, because it's a thing a lot of people don't know about, because that language is not in the game. It's called arm punches. It's called arm punches. You're punching with your arm. You're not torquing your body. You're not moving anything. You're just throwing it. You're just throwing your arm. You're using your arm. It's kind of dangerous if you don't know what you're doing, because you can mess up your arm. Because all the person's got to do, you're throwing a light punch and he run into your arm, and the momentum can snap your arm out of the place. But it's like some people, you be seeing them, you be like, yo, why he hitting? Because he bat, heavy hand, with them gloves and everything, you're scoring points and you're putting damage on them. Every punch don't have to be Mike Tyson type knockouts. You can have a highly skilled animator producing beautiful movement while the gameplay systems underneath those animations remain shallow. Sound familiar, right? You can have veteran producers maintaining a schedule for a product that lacks a clear identity. Sound like Steel City when they was doing the Q&As and people were saying that they were making them, they were saying that's good enough. We did Q&A. They was accepting the game for what it was. Experience does not automatically correct poor decisions. More developers may help a company build faster. More developers may help a company build faster. That does not mean it is building the correct systems. A large team can build the wrong game more efficiently. A large team can build the wrong game efficiently. And I know that's going over a lot of people here. This is why the design foundation must be clear. Is the game a simulation? Is it a hybrid? Is it an online competitive title? Is it an esports product? Is it an arcade experience? Is it a custom customizable platform that allows different audience to choose different rules and realism settings? What does authenticity mean internally? What does authenticity means internally, Ash? What does competitive balance mean, Ash? What is considered non-negotiable? What is considered non-negotiable? Who decides when realistic boxers differences are allowed to create unequal matchups? Who decides when realistic boxers differences are allowed to create unequal matchups? Until those questions are answered, adding more developers may not solve the central problem. Veteran developers increase expectations. Veteran developers increase expectations. And they do. And my thing is, while Ash saying, we got AAA developers in it. Now I'm way up here. And people, that's what everybody expectations are gonna be like. They got veteran developers. We getting everything now. We getting everything now. No, we're not. We're gonna get a better playing game, but we're not getting everything now. SEI, SEI promotes veteran developers who have worked at established companies. Should that increase expectations? Absolutely. You throw that $1,000 where? All right, Paul. Should that increase expectations by them hiring developers? How you donate $1,000 in my bank account? Now you about to make me look at my bank account. All right. Poe, absolutely. SCI cannot promote veteran advertising the company and then rely on inexperience when defending the product. Let me read that again. SCI cannot promote veteran experience when advertising the company and then rely on inexperience when defending the product. The company cannot say, we hired developers from major studios. We have people with decades of experience. We expanded to multiple locations. We have approximately 100 or more developers, and then allow defenders to say, this is only a small, inexperienced team, so expectations should remain low. Those arguments conflict. Veteran developers should improve. You the best to ever do it. Man, I wish I did have cash. I mean, I do got cash app, but I wish I did have like so people could donate because a lot of people ask me that. I gotta I gotta get my numbers up. I'm almost 500. So once I get 500, I think I could do the I don't know. I keep messing up the. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I backtrace 2000s to you. I backtrack $2,000 to you. Um. All right. And allow defenders to say this is only a small inexperienced team, so expectations should remain low. Those arguments conflict. Veteran developers should improve production planning, gameplay architecture, artificial intelligence, animation systems, physics, networking, quality insurance, Q&A. That's quality insurance is Q&A. Mode development, tools, project scoping, communication between departments, and ability to recognize mistakes before they become deeply embedded in the game. Veteran status should not exist only in hiring. Veteran status should not exist only in hiring account announcement. Excuse me. It should be visible in the product, and that's what I'm looking. I'm gonna be looking at. The product should show that they have that experience in the studio, even though they had it already. Industry experience is not the same as boxing expertise. Industry experience is not the same as boxing expertise. Does hiring people from major studios automatically mean they understand boxing? No. That is another important distinction. A veteran developer may have tremendous knowledge of animation, physics, artificial intelligence, online systems, production, world building, user interface, character customization, or engine programming. That experience is valuable, but boxing still requires boxing specific direction. A racing game developer does not automatically understand how a pressure boxer cut off the ring. A racing game developer does not automatically understand how a pressure boxer cuts off the ring. A basketball developer does not automatically understand clinching positioning. An open world developer does not automatically understand defensive shells, southpaw strategy, judging, punch arcs, corner adjustments, or the psychology of an exhausted boxer. Veteran developers bring technical and production expertise. Boxing experts bring domain knowledge. Strong leadership must translate that boxing knowledge. Strong leadership must translate that boxing knowledge into technical requirements. The process should be boxing knowledge becomes design rules. Design rules become data. Data becomes artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence become animation selection. Animation becomes responsive gameplay. Gameplay becomes testable authenticity criteria. Without that connection, veteran becomes a marketing statement instead of a meaningful change in the game. And that's what I'm waiting to see. Boxing visiting Boxers visiting the studio is not enough. Visiting the studio is not enough. SEI has worked with professional boxers and trainers Should that, this is a community member asking me this. SCI has worked with professional boxers and trainers. Should that not guarantee authenticity? I say no. I say no. Having boxers within a studio is not the same as building a boxing authenticity system. A boxer may perform motion capture. A trainer may discuss technique. A champion may promote the game. A commentator may record voice lines. And this is something that I found out too. They don't need Todd Grisham. They don't need Todd Grisham. They can actually use Todd Grisham's voice, but they don't need him to say all them lines, and some of them lines don't sound boxing like. He sound like a person that don't know boxing, but he start adding different things to make it sound good to the casuals. He hit him just like somebody hit somebody with a sock with a lock in it. He, say something. He be saying some weirdo stuff to me. It's like he don't know, but he just know how to talk, and I can't hate on that. But when it comes to a boxing game, I cannot accept that. But who am I? Who am I? But the company must convert that assets into development specifications. For example, what situation causes a boxer to pressure? When does a boxer retreat? How does the boxer react after being hurt? How does the boxer fight against a southpaw? How does fatigue alter punch selection? How does the boxer behave near the ropes? Does the boxer clinch after missing? Does the boxer become reckless when behind on the scorecards? Does the boxer protect an injured body area? Does the corner change tactics after losing consecutive rounds? How does the boxer footwork change when confidence drops? Those details must become tendencies, traits, capabilities, decision weights, animation rules, stamina responsives, risk tolerance, specific acceptance criteria. Celebrity involvement is not enough. The boxing knowledge must enter the code. The boxing knowledge must enter the code. How's it going, Francis? I don't know how to say all that. How's it going, Francis? Let me see. All right. Undisputed. Visual concept layoffs complicates the comparisons. When people try to say certain things, it's like they got a big team and stuff like this. They laying off people. So they kind of in the same place that Steel City is. Let us return to visual concept. The studio has has decades of history, but it has also its layoffs while continuing to hire developers. I don't see how that's even legal. You lay off somebody, then you hire people. That is, in some states, you can't. Does that weaken the argument that it automatically has superior institutional knowledge? Does that weaken the argument that it automatically has superior institutional knowledge? And this is one of my things that I keep telling people. A lot of people are not at EA that was there in the beginning. A lot of people are not there when certain games were made. So we keep saying EA is this high-powered company, but you can see certain things is changing because they're bringing in different people. They have their own ideas. Yes, a company may have existed for decades, but institutional knowledge lives inside people. When veteran developers leave or are laid off, the company may lose knowledge of why systems were built a certain way, understanding of technical depth, historical design reasoning, animation pipeline knowledge, production relationships, debugging experience, mentorship, and lessons learned from previous failures. A company logo does not retain every piece of knowledge by itself. Let me see something. E-Boxing Champion said, that's like an American thing, laughing out loud. At will employment, they can fire you for any reason and no reason, as long as it's not the wrong reason. Oh, that's what I was kind of figuring. I say, oh, so they left out of America. EA left out of America. So they can fire people for anything in the UK and Canada. Oh, okay. All right, new developers may be extremely talented, but they still need time to understand existing code, internal tools, production culture, franchise requirements, departmental and relationships, and systems created by people who may no longer work there, and systems created by people who no longer work there. Therefore, it would be inaccurate to say every current visual concept developer has decades of sports game experience. Simply because the company has existed for decades. The company has decades of history. Every current employee, hiring does not automatically erase layoffs. Hiring does not automatically erase layoffs. Community member. Some people may point out that visual concept is still hiring. Does that replace what was lost? Not automatically. A company can lay off employees in one department while hiring people in another. It may be changing technology, moving development between locations, reducing certain teams, replacing expensive veteran positions. Oh, that's what's going on. And that's what I was saying to myself. They getting rid of all the veteran employees. And that, to me, that's stupid, because veterans, they're going to keep your product in pristine working order. But then you hiring on new people, they got to learn it. And they probably kept them veterans on long enough to teach them people, then they laid them off or fired them. And me, it reminded me of a situation when I was working at a place. I was working at a bakery. And one of my friends came up there one day looking for a job. He got hired. So I started noticing things. I said, hold up. I'm training this joker to take my spot. I said, nah, man. Nah. You pay attention to the owner and his son. You learn from them. All right. Replacing expensive veteran positions. Shifting priorities. Changing changing projects structure, hiring online specialists while reducing offline mode personnel. And that's one of my biggest gripes that I hope not that's not the case. They're hiring a lot of online personnel and specialists and getting rid of the offline people or not focusing on the offline. Or recognizing leadership. Or reorganizing leadership. New hires pro- new hires prove that a company is still operating and investing in certain areas. It does not prove that every form of institutional knowledge lost through layoffs has been restored. A new developer may have excellent qualifications. That person still has to learn the existing product, your project. So the fair comparison is not Visual Concept has all the experience and SCI has none. Both organizations has experienced people. The important question is how experience is retained, organized, directed, and translated into the final game. SCI has a major publisher. SCI has a major publisher. A lot of people don't know this. That is another major part of the conversation. SCI has Deep Silver and PlayOn as its publishing partner. How does that change the accountability discussion? It changes it significantly. A major publisher can provide support in areas such as global marketing, retail distribution, platform relationships, certification, localization, release management, public relations, legal operations, customer support, quality assurance, commercial planning, and internal sales infrastructure. The publisher may not be responsible for every gameplay decision. Deep Silver does not necessarily decide how clinching works or how a boxer behaves after being hurt. But the presence of a major publisher means SCI was not carrying every commercial, distribution, or release ability alone. That matters. SCI may be independently owned as a studio, but SCI is not independently owned. SCI is not an indie company. SCI owns only 51% of the company. SCI owns only 51% of the company. Now ask the CEO of EA, who owns the majority of the company? And not no 1% type stuff. Who owns the company? EA owns well, not now. The Saudis own the company. After the 4th, the Saudis will own the company. All right, what's that? After Tuesday. All right. It does not mean self-publishing. It does not mean underfunded. It does not mean inexperience. And it does not automatically excuse an incomplete sports game foundation. Independent does not mean powerless. Some people still call SCI an independent studio. They're not. It may be independently owned, but people often misuse the word independent. They speak as if independent automatically means tiny, unsupported, poorly funded, unknown, inexperienced, without access to industry infrastructure. That is not always true. A studio can be independently owned while receiving major publishing support. private investment, licensing partnership, global distribution, platform support, marketing assistance, and access to veteran talent. The proper question is not, is SEI independent? The proper questions are, how much support does SEI have? Who finances its growth? Who publishes the game? How many people work on the franchise? How are the studios organized? What resources are being devoted to gameplay? How much authority does SEI maintain over its own design direction? Investors, shareholders matter. Investors and shareholders matters. SEI also has investors and shareholders. What does that add to the conversation? Outside investors do not contribute substantial capital as a donation. They invest because they expect the company or its intellectual properties to grow in value. That means SEI is not merely working on a personal passion project anymore. It is operating a commercial video game business with financial. Those stakeholders may care about sales, growth, marketing expansion. Marketing expansion, player retention, downloadable content, sequels, licensing, company valuation, and return on investment. And the return on investment. We should not automatically claim that investors personally order a particular gameplay change. We need evidence before making that type of accusation. But the presence of investors mean commercial expectations exist. But the presence of investors mean expectations exist. That makes transparency more important. SEI should clearly explain what kind of boxing product it is creating. And I keep saying this. Is it building a realistic simulation? Is it prioritizing esports? Is it pursuing a live service model? That we know. They are building a live service model. Is it trying to attract a broad fighting game audience? Yes. To me, that's what they're trying to do. Is it creating separate gameplay lanes for simulation or hybrid and casual players? I doubt it. The community should not have to guess. The community should not have to guess. All right. I'm going to read this section and then I'm going to end the show. All right. Commercial pressure may influence direction. Commercial pressure may influence direction. Could investors or publisher expectations be part of the reason the game emphasizes accessibility, online competition, and downloadable content? It is possible that commercial expectations influence the overall strategy. However, we should not assign blame without evidence. The direction could come from SEI leadership. I doubt it. Publisher strategy. Investor expectation. Yeah. Internal analytics. online engagement data, competitive players, content creators, focus groups, or a combination of those influences. That uncertainty, that uncertainty is exactly why SEI should communicate more clearly. SEI needs to communicate more clearly. When the company avoids defining the product, players are left trying to interpret every trailer, interview, job listing, and promotional statement. A clear, a clear product philosophy would answer many of the questions. All right, I guess I'm gonna keep reading. I'm trying to go to the what? I got 4 minutes. All right, 4 minutes, then I'll be 2 hours. All right. Over 1 million sales in 1 week. Now let us discuss one of the strongest points. Undisputed sold over 1 million copies during the first week. EA didn't do that. 2K didn't do that. It took EA 10 years to sell over 1 million copies. And Steel City sold that because of that trailer and not what the content creators keep saying. It sounds like they're repeating what the company is telling them. What does that tell us? It says a great deal. It proves boxing video games are not commercially irrelevant. It proves boxing video games are not commercially irrelevant. For years, people suggested boxing was too niche. And my thing, boxing could never be niche because it's global. It's a global sport. So it can't be niche. They said publishers were uncertain about the audience. They said they questioned whether enough players wanted a dedicated boxing game. Then Undisputed sold over 1 million copies during the first week. That is not a minor result. That is not a few thousand hardcore boxing fans supporting a small experiment. It demonstrates substantial demand. It shows that people were waiting for boxing to return. It shows that licensed boxers still have commercial drawing power. It shows that long absence of a modern boxing game created pent-up interest. It shows that boxing fans and people nostalgic for Fight Night were willing to see the boxing title. The market was proven. Sales prove demand, not perfection. Sales prove demand, not perfection. Does selling over 1 million copies prove the game was great? No. Sales prove commercial demand. They do not automatically prove gameplay quality. They do not prove customer satisfaction. They do not prove long-term player retention. They do not prove that every feature met expectations. They do not prove that the boxing systems were complete. A product can sell because of strong marketing, a larger roster, famous boxers, a lack of competition, pent-up demand, nostalgia, pre-orders, influencers' attention, curiosity, or the expectations that the game will improve through updates. The sales milestone should not be used to silence criticism. The sales milestone should not be used to silence criticism. It should increase accountability. because more than 1 million customers supported the product during its first week. All right, let me see. Appreciate you, Lamont Davis. Appreciate you, man. All right, y'all. I'm about to end the show. It's 2 hours on the dot, and thank you, Lamont Davis. Shout out to Don D205. I gave him all the information in the beginning. Shout out to Don D205. Shout out to Leafy. Shout out to AJ Pax. Shout out to Mr. Arbor. Shout out to let me see. Shout out to S. He Hot. Shout out to Shalin Phrase. Shout out to Aram. Shout out to Dame. Shout out to that's it. Shout out to everybody, man. Shout out to everybody, man. I'm a little tired because I be standing up, writing, and doing everything I ain't supposed to be doing. And when I say what I'm not supposed to do, I should be getting my rest. My wife always get on me about that. All right, but I'm always writing or coming up with ideas and stuff. But shout out to everybody that watched the show today. Oh yeah, that's who man, I'm glad you popped in, man. I would have felt bad about myself after the show. Shout out to Harvey Fofi. That's my guy. He always in the back listening. Shout out to Harvey Fofi. Appreciate you, man. All right, until the next show, y'all. Peace. And I think I'm gonna put this up on my vlog. Appreciate you, Lamont Davis, man. I'm gonna put this up on my blog and y'all can read through it. But all right, y'all, too.